Guns save lives, although not in the way you may be expecting. The first example I'd like to bring up is the maritime line launcher. There's a couple of devices in this vein, like the Lyle cannon, or the Shermley rocket pistol apparatus that was common on Royal Navy vessels in the early 20th century. But when a sailor would be swept overboard in the age of sail, they'd have a special firearm attached to a wooden buoy and a rope that they'd use to bring the guy back on board. Likewise, if two vessels needed to be towed, you didn't want to bring the hulls together, so they'd launch a grappling hook from a line launcher onto the other one. These are still used today, by the way, in search and rescue and the maritime industry, in addition to flare guns for signaling. These are examples of what are called powder-actuated tools, the industrial use of firearms. Some other examples are industrial shotguns, often used to break up metal slag deposits or ash buildup in boilers and smelters, or various types of nailers that use small blank cartridges to launch a rivet or a nail into denser substances. And oh boy, science has a whole lot of firepower. The classic example is a physics student building a potato cannon, often combustion powered, to launch a small projectile a short distance. Other ones would be stuff like light gas cannons or ram accelerators, which is how NASA and various aerospace agencies simulate high-speed collisions, like stuff moving 7 miles a second. Other examples would be in-field biology. Biologists often have to sedate an animal for research, which is where tranquilizer darts come in. Another example would be planting tracker chips to follow something's migration or taking biopsy samples. In these cases, a dart gun or a crossbow would often be used to collect the sample. My favorite example, though, is the space cannon. Groups like Quick Launch or Green Launch have proposed using a hydrogen-fueled space cannon to launch small satellites. If these were completed, they would definitely make satellite launch much more accessible to the common person. They may burn the land and boil the sea, but they will not take the sky from me, to quote Firefly. If we're lucky enough to have a future in space, a lot of the examples that I've mentioned are suddenly going to find a new lease on life. That's why our future is going to be one with a lot more citizen science and a lot more citizen firearms, though not just in the way you're thinking. Perhaps less Starship Troopers and more, say, using a high-tech line launcher to rescue a stranded astronaut, or some form of orbital cannon to clear out debris. I believe we have a future in space. Aim high, because even if you miss, you'll be among the stars.